After he's finished condemning himself and all the British people for ever finding inspiration in their history, he talks about school and the actual teachers that he had. And it would appear that Harry is not into anyone who requires anything of him. He talks about how his favorite teachers were people who were kind and tender to him and who kind of just let him do his own thing. With one particular teacher, he mentions, again, going hard on people with disabilities. He talks about the fact that this guy was in a wheelchair, his drum teacher, and when his drum teacher would show up, he'd come in a van and the boys would try to help him in, and then it would take forever to get him in.
How much?
And then, they'd have like 10 minutes of a lesson, and then it's time to get the old geezer back in the van. And it's like, what is the matter with you? And he's like, my drumming was terrible, but you know what? That guy was so nice. He didn't care. He just supported me. Would have been pretty helpful if, getting him in and out of that van had been easier. But then he talks about how a lot of the, if only everyone couldn't be like the guy in the wheelchair who taught for a few minutes and then left, because when there was any teaching being done, he resented the teachers for doing their job. He talks about his history teacher, and he is particularly scornful about this history teacher who was trying to get Harry to care about the subject matter because it does involve his family. Seems like you might tune in. And then Harry says, this is so enlightening. He says that his teacher felt that he was odd. And that, what could be odder, he said to me one day, than a British prince not knowing British history? I cannot fathom it, Wales. We're talking about your blood relatives. Does that mean nothing to you? And Harry says, less than nothing, sir. It wasn't just that I didn't know anything about my family's history. I didn't want to know anything. I like British history in theory. I found certain bits intriguing. But the micro details about the Norman conquest, or the bits in and out of the beef between Henry VIII and the Pope, or the differences between the First and Second Crusades, please. The fact that he would have so much disdain for his own family now should be of no surprise to us. I mean, I can understand, people are like, okay, well, big deal, he didn't want to learn about history. Maybe that's boring for some people. And I mean, it seems like it might be a little bit more interesting if it concerns your own people, your blood relatives. But, sometimes history is not for everybody. But it's not just the dislike for it, it's the disdain for it. Because it shows why he doesn't care about his family now. He says that the reason he didn't care about the family tree is that, why trace my family tree when all tracery led to the same severed branch? Mummy. But it doesn't, though. I mean, it's like, what? That doesn't even make logical sense. What are you talking about? I mean, I guess is he saying everything that these people have ever done is wrong, and then it all came to a head, and it's because they're so wildly out of touch with reality and how to treat people. That's how they're able to push my mom out. That's how that happened. I don't get it. I don't get how he comes to these conclusions. What are you talking about? If I trace my royal family, I'll find out that, it all leads to the severed branch of Mummy. Are you reading these words back to yourself? What does that even mean? He talks about how after class he went up to his teacher and he's like, you embarrassed me. You embarrassed me when you asked me questions about my family and said I should know. And I think that's really cruel and mean that you would do that kind of thing to me. You shouldn't do that kind of thing to me. Everybody already knows I'm a prince. You have to point it out at every turn of the way. And the guy's, apologizes like, yes, I suppose I overstepped my bounds. And then the next day gives him a ruler that has the lists of all of the, lists the monarchy around the edges of the ruler. And as sort of like a peace offering, and next time I ask you a question, you can just refer to your ruler. And, it's like, Harry just never wants to give anybody the benefit of the doubt. He never wants to see the good in people's intentions for him. Which leads us to his next bout of displeasure when he talks about his father.